Welcome to Rambam in Depth. Today we'll be discussing the Rambam Hilchos Tefillah, Perek Yud Aleph, Halacha Yud Bais, and Yud Gimmel. Halacha Yud Bais, the Rambam paskins, Ein Seis and Beis Hamikdash, they live in this Acha b'Mekayme b'Makamacha. You're not allowed to demolish a shul in order to build another shul in its place or in another place. So what are you supposed to do if you have to build a new shul? First you build the other shul, then you demolish the original one. And the reason for that is lest a unforeseeable circumstance arises and they won't be able to build. So once you demolish it, there will be no shul. Then in Halacha Yud Gimmel, the Rambam qualifies that. But when does the above apply? When the foundations of the shul had not been destroyed. If the foundations were destroyed, or the walls are threatening to collapse, you have to demolish it right away, and you have to start rebuilding it very quickly, by day and at night. And the reason for that is maybe the circumstances will prevent you from building the shul, and it will remain in the state of demolition. There will be no shul. So the question is asked, the Rambam here says you should build it by day and by night. We know that there are many ways in which a shul is compared to the Beis Hamikdash. Halachos, you're not allowed to destroy the Beis Hamikdash, you're not allowed to destroy a shul. There are other halachos the Rambam mentioned you're supposed to build a shul in a high place, just like the Beis Hamikdash. So why is it that the Beis Hamikdash, the halacha is, as the Rambam paskins and Hilchos Beis Hamikdash, that ein beinin b'layla, you can't build a Beis Hamikdash at night. So why is it that you can build a shul at night? So breathtaking, you could say that the halacha that you can't build a Beis Hamikdash at night is only lechatchila, but b'diavad it's a kosher mikdash. And here by a shul as well, if you build it at night, it's a kosher shul, kosher Beis Knesses. And since it's a Sha'as Hadchak, we know that a Sha'as Hadchak is like b'diavad. When the circumstances are difficult, it's like b'diavad after the fact that it's acceptable. But that's very difficult to say, to give that explanation. Another possibility is, and there's a whole shakla b'tarya about this, that the Rambam Shita is that the Kedusha of a Beis Hamikdash is only midrabanan, it's only rabbinical. And the rabbis, because it's a Sha'as Hadchak, we're mekel. That's a possibility as well. There are others who say that the Rambam holds that the Kedusha of a Beis Hamikdash is min Torah. So the answer to this question can be given based on what the Rebbe explains in Likkutei Sichos on Parshas Terumah, that there are actually two separate dinim. There's a din of Asali Migdash, the binyan the Migdash, selecting a place for the Shechina to dwell, and there is a halacha of the Kedusha of the Beis Hamikdash. When you build the Beis Hamikdash, you're not building it to make it holy. You're building it so you can have a place where you can do the Avoda. The holiness is a separate issue. Same thing with the Shul. A Shul also has both Gedarim. According to the Zayar, the Asali Migdash refers to not just the Beis Hamikdash, but refers, Bisman Hazeh, to a Beis Knesses, to a Shul. And that's why there's so many halachas that a shul resembles that of the Beis Hamikdash. So the Rebbe explains that there's a difference between the two dinim. So it could be that the Rambam holds that the reason why you can't build a Beis Hamikdash at night is not a halacha in the mitzvah of Asali Migdash. It's a chasara in the binyan of Migdash. It's a chasara in the Kedusha of the Beis Hamikdash. The Kedusha of the Beis Hamikdash is diminished if you do it at night. Just like we find many halachas that in the Beis Hamikdash, the Avoda was always done by day. You had things that were done at night also, but they were secondary. Hatorah Simurim, the burning of the fats of the carbon was kosher to be done at night, but it wasn't such a crucial Avoda. If you didn't bring the Hatorah Simurim, if you didn't do it, the carbon is still kosher. The menorah was lit before dark, but it stayed lit all night long, but you couldn't light it You didn't light it at night. You have to light it during the day. So the night is a secondary time with regard to sacrifices. So it could be the Kedusha of the Beis Hamikdash is diminished if you do it at night, if you build it at night. Masha'en Kain, the mitzvah of Asali Migdash is not affected. And that explains why Farshim say that according to the Rambam, you can do things to build the Beis Hamikdash, provide accessories for the Beis Hamikdash, raise the money and do everything that's needed preliminary to the actual building, that you could do at night. If that's all part of Asli Migdash, and that the mitzvah of building the Beis Hamikdash is dafke b'yayim, how would you be able to do any part of the binyan? The answer is binyan is all right. It's the Kedusha that's chasara. So when you actually build it, and that's when the Kedusha is chal, that has to be done during the day. Mashein kein a shul, the Kedusha of a shul, even if you say it's miratera, it's certainly not the same as the Kedusha of the Beis Hamikdash. There are certain things you can do in a shul that you can't do in the Beis Hamikdash. Rikika, for example. The Beis Hamikdash in some ways, a shul in some ways is like your own house that you have to have respect for, but there are certain licenses that you have in your own home that apply to a shul as well. So the Kedusha of the shul is less. So the Kedusha of the shul is not affected by doing it at night. And the mitzvah of Asli Migdash that applies to a shul isn't affected either. That's why you can do it at night, especially in B'shas Hadchak.